Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. Fixing error, invalid source release, 17 in Flutter Android Studio. This error, invalid source release, 17, or a similar number, in your Flutter Android Studio project indicates a mismatch between the Java version expected by your project and the Java version configured in Android Studio. Specifically, you're likely using a newer JDK version, example JDK 17, than the project's configuration allows for. Here's a comprehensive guide to troubleshooting and resolving this issue, covering various scenarios and providing code examples. Understanding the problem. Java versions and compatibility Java, or the JDK, Java Development Kit, is the runtime environment for running Java code. Android projects built with Flutter often use Java for native Android components. Each Java version, JDK 8, JDK 11, JDK 17, etc., introduces new features and sometimes breaks compatibility with older code or build configurations. Source compatibility and target compatibility in your build.gradle files. Source compatibility defines the Java version used to compile your Java/Kotlin code. Target compatibility specifies the Java version the compiled code is intended to run on. These settings ensure the compiled code remains compatible with the target environment. Android Gradle plugin, AGP. The Android Gradle plugin is responsible for building Android projects. Different AGP versions require different minimum Java versions. Newer AGP versions typically support newer JDKs. Android Studio configuration. Android Studio itself uses a Java runtime. If it's using an incompatible Java runtime compared to your project's settings, you'll run into issues. Troubleshooting steps. 1. Identify the Java version mismatch. Error message analysis. The error message invalid source release, 17 implies that your source compatibility and /or target compatibility is set to a lower Java version than 17 while you have JDK 17 installed and potentially being used by Android Studio. Build.gradle inspection. Examine your project's build.gradle files, both the project level and app level files, for the following lines. These lines are commonly found within the Android block. Pay close attention to the source compatibility and target compatibility values. They might be set to version_1_8, Java 8, version_11, Java 11, or something else. Android Studio project structure. In Android Studio, go to File-Project Structure, or Ctrl+Shift+Alt+S or CMD+, on Mac OS. Navigate to the Project section. Check the Project SDK and Project Language level. The Project SDK should be an Android API level, but the language level, which corresponds to the Java version, should match the source compatibility and target compatibility in your build.gradle files. Android Studio JDK configuration. In Android Studio, go to File-Settings, or Android Studio-Preferences, on Mac OS. Navigate to Build, Execution, Deployment-Build Tools-Gradle. Check the Gradle JDK setting. This setting determines the JDK Android Studio uses to run Gradle builds. Environment variables. Check your system environment variables, especially Java_home and path. These variables can influence which Java version is used by your system. Sometimes, if your Java_home is pointing to an incorrect JDK, the build can fail even if your project is configured correctly within Android Studio. 2 resolution strategies. Option 1, upgrade source compatibility and target compatibility. recommended if possible. The most direct solution is to update your build.gradle files to use a Java version that matches the JDK installed and used by Android Studio. 1. Update build.gradle files * in both your project level and app level build.gradle files. Change the source compatibility and target compatibility settings to match your desired Java version. For example, if you want to use Java 17. 2. Sync Gradle * after making changes to your build.gradle files, sync Gradle by clicking Sync Project with Gradle Files, usually a button at the top of Android Studio. 3. Restart Android Studio * sometimes, a restart of Android Studio is necessary for the changes to be fully applied. Option 2, downgrade the JDK used by Android Studio, if upgrading source compatibility is not possible. If, for some reason, you cannot upgrade the source compatibility and target compatibility in your build.gradle files, example due to compatibility issues with the library or legacy code, you might need to downgrade the JDK used by Android Studio. This is generally less desirable, as you'll be using an older Java runtime, which might limit access to newer features and optimizations. 1. Download an older JDK *, download the desired JDK version, example JDK 11 or JDK 8, from a reliable source, example Oracle, or a reputable open source provider like Adoptium or Azul Zulu. Make sure you download the correct JDK for your operating system. 2. Install the JDK * install the downloaded JDK. 3. Configure Android Studio * in Android Studio Settings, File-Settings, or Android Studio - Preferences, on Mac OS, go to Build, Execution, Deployment - Build Tools - Gradle. 4. Select the JDK * in the Gradle JDK drop-down, choose either Embedded JDK, this is the JDK included within the Android Studio installation. You might have to change which version of Android Studio you're using to get a different embedded JDK. This option is often preferable because it's managed by Android Studio. If this doesn't fix the issue, proceed to the next bullet point. *JDK location and browse to the installation directory of the older JDK you just installed. For example, on Mac OS, it might be /library /java /java virtual machine /JDK 1.8.0_351.jdk /contents/home. On Windows, it might be /program files /java /JDK 1.8.0_351. 5. Sync Gradle * click Sync Project with Gradle Files. 6. Restart Android Studio * restart Android Studio. Option 3, update the Android Gradle plugin, AGP. Sometimes, using an older AGP version can lead to compatibility issues with newer JDKs. Try updating your AGP to the latest stable version. 1. Open build.gradle, project level. Open your project level build.gradle file, the one typically located at the root of your project directory. 2. Update AGP version * find the dependencies block within the build script block and update the AGP version. Go to https://developer.android.com/studio/releases/gradle-plugin to find the latest stable version of AGP. 3. Update Gradle version. If necessary, updating the AGP might also require updating the Gradle version itself. In the Gradle/wrapper/Gradle wrapper.properties file, change the distribution URL to use a compatible Gradle version. Consult the Android Gradle plugin release notes to determine the compatible Gradle version for the AGP version you are using. For example, 4. Sync Gradle * click Sync Project with Gradle Files. 5. Restart Android Studio * restart Android Studio. Option 4, Check and clean your project asterisk. Sometimes, cached data or corrupted files can cause build issues. Try these steps. 1. Clean project asterisk in Android Studio, go to build-clean project. 2. Rebuild project asterisk go to build-rebuild project. 3. Invalidate caches and restart asterisk go to file-invalidate caches/restart. Choose invalidate and restart. 3. Example code, build.gradle. Here's an example of how your build.gradle file might look with Java 17 configured. Project level build.gradle. App level build.gradle. Important considerations. Asterisk library dependencies asterisk before upgrading your source compatibility and target compatibility, make sure your project's dependencies, libraries, are compatible with the new Java version. Some older libraries might not be compatible with newer JDKs. Consult the documentation for each library to ensure compatibility. Asterisk Kotlin compatibility asterisk if you're using Kotlin, make sure your Kotlin version is also compatible with the Java version you're using. Update the Kotlin Gradle plugin in your project level build.gradle file if necessary. The Kotlin options.jvm target should also match the source compatibility and target compatibility. Asterisk Flutter version asterisk ensure your Flutter version is relatively up to date. Older Flutter versions might have compatibility issues with newer Java versions. You can update Flutter using the Flutter upgrade command. Asterisk Android Studio updates asterisk keep Android Studio updated to the latest stable version. Newer versions often include improvements to Gradle and JDK handling. Asterisk clean environment variables asterisk ensure your environment variables such as Java_home are pointing to the correct JDK version, or are not conflicting with the Android Studio's JDK configuration. Debugging tips. Asterisk verbose Gradle output asterisk enable verbose Gradle output to get more detailed information about the build process. In Android Studio settings, go to Build, Execution, Deployment-Compiler and add-stack trace info to the command line options field. Asterisk Gradle build scan asterisk use Gradle build scans, search for Gradle build scan online, to analyze your builds and identify performance bottlenecks and potential issues. This provides a very detailed view into the build process. Asterisk search for specific errors asterisk if the error message changes, search for the new error message online. Other developers might have encountered the same issue and found a solution. Asterisk experiment and revert asterisk when trying different solutions, change one thing at a time and test. If it doesn't work, revert the change before trying something else. This makes it easier to isolate the problem. By systematically working through these troubleshooting steps, you should be able to identify the root cause of the error, invalid source release, 17 problem and resolve it, allowing you to build and run your Flutter Android project successfully. Remember to pay attention to the error messages, inspect your build.gradle files, and configure Android Studio correctly. Good luck.